The sound you hear is that of a grave being dug on a hillside in a lonely section of England in the 17th century. And that was English thunder of the era. And that, a soft English drizzle. Water, earth, sky, elementals. Surrounding James Alsop, money clipper, highwayman, father-in-law, gravedigger. It'll take him about another hour to finish, and about another hour to give it a corpse. For in that time, James Alsop will add murder to his other attributes. And tonight, my report to you on the Alsop family, how it diminished and grew again.
Crime Classics, a new series of true crime stories from the records and newspapers of every land, from every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, and teller of murders. Now, once again, Mr. Thomas Hyland.
The year 1673, and the place Ham, a small village about 4 miles from London, situated in the county of Essex. Now, the month is March, at the tail end of a wild winter, a winter of great snows, much poverty, and much returning to the earth of the folk of Ham, young and old. Never was there such a winter within the memory of what villagers were left alive. And now that the snows had melted and the first warmth blew across the heath and into cold stone rooms, there was stirring among the Hamlings who had survived. Man and wife smiled on each other where yesterday had been chill. Life must go on. But what of those whom the ravages of the season and starvation had made lonely? What of, say, a widow? What of, say, Widow Ursula, who lost her husband to the wild dogs 2 days after Christmas? What of her? Well, let's see.
You be lonely, eh, widow?
Aye.
It was a cruel thing has happened to your husband.
Cruel.
Then now it is the springtime.
Aye. And March is soft on the moors.
April is a good time for marrying, widow.
When I married last, it wasn't April. It was April after a soft winter when my husband built this house that we married. It was a good marriage.
April is soon, and you should have another husband. You're a widow of good credit and competent estate, and you'd make a young man a comely bundle.
Teddy?
You're welcome, Widow Ursula. A comely bundle indeed.
How long has it been since your wife passed on, James Alsop?
6 years come next Bloomsbury Day.
I heard she was a shrew.
A witch, a shrew, a gollygog. But a woman of fervor, and she fruited me with 2 sons.
Aye. I have seen the younger one.
He said to me the Widow Ursula had looked upon him.
Aye. A robust lad. Sinewy.
Will you marry my son?
What do you call him?
Christopher.
Christopher. A likely name for April.
And Ursula will make a likely bride.
Aye.
Morning.
Oh, Father, what did the widow say? Will she marry my brother?
She will. To us, William.
Aye. So, my brother Christopher will take a bride.
Your brother is not like us. He needs a woman to take care of him.
He is a dolt.
Perhaps.
And cowardly.
Maybe.
For instance, he needs his father to propose for him.
He has a shy manner.
Cowardly. For instance, down there, where the carriage will roll soon. Would he have the courage to stop it and point a knife and demand money or life and mean it?
No, not Christopher.
There, around the hill's curve, the carriage. Father? Aye.
So the two of them, father and son William, galloped down the hillside, donned masks, and stopped the carriage. And with a well-a-day and cocked pistols, they robbed the driver and a passenger. History records that the passenger, as coincidence would have it, was none other than Dame Maggie Chavez, who, it may be assumed, was even then on the first leg of her mad dash to Lisbon. Gallants that they were, the highwaymen took from the lady only her gold coins. Her jewelry, the famous mementos from the Viscount of Gloucester, was not touched. This might have been, however, because of the hiding places for gems that the dame is famous for. And, with another well-a-day, James Alsop and William rode down to the town of Ham, and to home, and to their workshop. Here, they divested themselves of garments necessary to robbing on the road, placed them in a trunk, took out a pair of shears, and went to work.
This year's mintage is harder than last year's.
Work, meaning clipping off small edges of the gold coins. Decreasing the diameter, in other words, without decreasing the face value. So, when you were finished, you had the original gold coins and gold clippings as a bonus.
Else the shears are dulled.
Else you, father, are growing older and weaker.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
I said it.
Did you now? What do you say now? Or do you have too much blood in your mouth, son William?
I meant a jest. I asked your pardon.
Get back to work. There's a pile of sovereigns on the table to be clipped and clippings taken to London to be sold.
Aye.
Who be it?
Christopher.
Come in, son. Hello, son.
Hello, Father. Hello, William.
Did the day go well for you, son?
I dreamed how it would be to take a wife.
You like the taste of blood, William?
I dreamed how it would be to take a wife. And it was a fine dream.
Yeah, I spoke to the widow Ursula.
And asked her what I told you, Father.
Aye.
Will she have me?
In April.
I'm grateful to you.
You're a good son, Christopher. You make your father proud.
Did you have a good day on the road, Father?
Now, that's thoughtful you asked. Aye, a good day indeed. A carriage with a rich lady.
And much gold, I see.
One thing, son. When you're with wife, no talk of this and what happens on the road. Not a whisper on it.
Oh, not a whisper.
Yeah. We have to do much clipping, your brother and I. Take a handful of coins, lad. Buy some things for April.
When it came, it was the mildest April in years, and the good townsfolk of Ham wore homespun linen of most feathery weight for the nuptials, the widow Ursula to Christopher Alsop. There was much gaiety. Laughter spilled, as did the cooling spiced mead. And, as sometimes happens at such festivals, a group of the younger set thought they spied a druid and ran off into the woods to give it chase. But the older set, the ones who had already chased their druids, stayed. And they smiled kindly upon the bride Ursula as she took the hand of Christopher and led him into the warm stone cottage.
My husband.
My bride.
You dance well, the saraband, husband.
Do you not have a good word for my jig?
In the saraband you whirled and lifted me high.
You are comely, bride Ursula.
You are young and handsome.
I love thee.
And you will gentle me and be ardent.
Aye.
And I to you. Christopher,
Aye.
your father is rich.
He is. He has told me I do not need to employ myself at anything for a year, as a wedding gift, if I wish it.
Oh, he must be very rich, then. What does he do for his riches?
I cannot say.
But you are husband.
Then come to me.
Yes.
Which was the talk in April, and in May when the bloom was on the sedge,
Come, dearie. Tell your wife what your daddy dear does for his riches.
and in June when the drone bee danced for its queen.
If you do not tell me, dearie, I shall be unhappy and you shall be sorry.
And for the rest of the summer, love and curiosity, and a Christopher who wouldn't talk about his father. But in September, when the first leaf dropped,
Now, what does he do, your father?
Come here.
I will not.
Bride.
Wife now. And I ask you, what does your father do for his riches?
What curiosity is yours, Ursula?
And who would not be curious? The way your father is hardly home, nor your brother. The way they ride the roads so often and after lock themselves in that room. What do they there? And why am I not permitted there in their workroom? And why does your brother journey to London so often?
Come here.
When you will answer me, not before.
I'll not answer you. I'll tell you this only. It is September, and you have become a shrew.
You will rue the day you called me that name. You will rue it.
Tether the horses, William.
Aye.
Take a fresh horse. After, we'll clip the coins and you will go down to London.
Aye. What ails you, Father? There's no humor in you anymore. You worry about Christopher?
He's not happy with his wife.
As I said it.
He says she's a shrew,
And what woman is not?
that she's curious,
As the woman Alice is.
that she needs to know what we do, you and I.
So she would gossip about it. That we are highwaymen and money clippers. She would gossip and the law would hear of it, and we would jig from a gallows.
It grieves me. It would be a terrible thing.
Hello, father-in-law. Brother-in-law. I had never been here before. In the workshop before. I thought to clean it. To dust a bit. What are these clippers for?
Get out of here. Get out of here before I kill you.
She will gossip, Father,
Aye.
and the law will hear of it.
Aye.
The gallows and death.
Not for us. To work, William.
and they clipped a pile of sovereigns, and William took the clippings to London town. And the rest of the night, James Alsop sat with his thoughts. In the false dawn, he came to a conclusion. His daughter-in-law had to go. For good.
You are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Thomas Hyland. All America is in CBS Radio's 21st Precinct. Tuesday nights every week, the Star's Address brings you gripping and suspenseful stories of behind-the-scenes police work in the world's biggest city. Hear 21st Precinct on most of these same stations tomorrow night. And now, once again, Thomas Hyland and the second act of Crime Classics and his report to you on the Alsop Family, how it diminished and grew again.
England in the 1670s. It was a mess. First of all, the English didn't like the Dutch, and the Dutch felt the same about the English, and they were constantly sending each other's frigates to the bottom. The King of England was Charles II, famed for being a member of the Stuart family, for marrying with Catherine Berganza, and for peeling the oranges of one Nell Gwyn. It was, as I have indicated, a yeasty time, foment everywhere. Colonists were going off in every which direction, to America, to India, and to the Caribbees. It was the decade, too, of the great Fethergill hoax, and it was the decade of plague and fire. Let's look again at a corner of it. The year, 1673. The place, the village of Ham, and a woman named Ursula, walking through a meadow at dusk.
No, sir! No, do not!
Alsop,
Oh, no, Ryder. Did you have a good ride?
middling. I think. Only middling.
What are you talking about?
I saw the woman Ursula walking through the meadow, as you said she would be.
And did you kill her as I said you should do?
I am not sure. Therefore,
Therefore what?
I am willing to take but half the amount of money which you promised me.
I promise you a fee, assassin, for the killing of Ursula. I hired your sword for her death. No half payments for work not completed.
It's no fault of mine. I stuck her with my sword, but she moved quickly away. Then I saw some people who were coming, attracted by her cries.
And my son William, who sent you to me from London, said you were the finest of assassins.
Another day and I'll try again.
Go back to London.
My pay.
Aye. That be your pay, a knockabout the head. What you deserve. Get you back to London.
What do you think, Father?
That your wife is a fortunate one. That the wounds are not grave.
The villagers who saw the attack said a rider in a cloak and mask chased her about the meadow with a sword. For what reason? For what reason I cannot conceive.
Ooh, a mystery.
Who would want to do murder on such a fine woman?
Huh? Yesterday you called her a witch.
Aye, even worse. But I did not mean it.
As I said, what has happened? A mystery.
Who would want to kill her?
Ooh, your wife is a provoking woman. She walks alone in the meadow at dusk.
If she ever recovers, I will tell her to do so no more. While I'm gone for the surgeon in Yorkshire, you'll take care of my wife, Father.
Aye, that I will. I'll watch over your wife.
And young Christopher rode off to Yorkshire. And what with William in London selling coin clippings, James Alsop was left in his house with Ursula, his daughter-in-law. September night, and a gathering storm, and this...
What? What?
Ursula, thirsty, as a body is wont to get when it has been stabbed.
Water.
And the man who could slake her thirst moves, but not toward Ursula. Toward the tool shed for a shovel, then toward the hill. You know why. That's right, to dig a grave. And while he was digging, you remember, it started to rain. And James Alsop lifted his mouth to it because a body is wont to get thirsty when it is digging a grave. But Alsop finished his task, took shovel back to tool house, and did what quite a few grave diggers do, even to this day.
Barkeep, another.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, Judy.
Buy a hollyhock. Oh, buy one.
Yours a farthing. You keep your hock. Wear it yourself.
You may pin it on me if you like.
Hocks become you.
I have only 2 more to sell, and I have nothing to do, and no one to sing my song to.
Oh, Tonight I'm busy, Judy.
And what could you be busy with in such a storm?
To help my daughter-in-law on a journey.
Journey to where?
To her cousin in Scotland.
Oh, if I had a drink, Mr. Alsop, I would drink to a safe return.
Barkeep. 3 drinks. 1 for me, 1 for the lady, and for yourself, barkeep. Yeah. Well, now we will drink to the safe journey and the safe return of my daughter-in-law, Ursula, who goes to visit her cousin in Scotland and who probably will not return for a year or so. Poor girlie. You had to go and find out I was a thief, did you not? I can't stand to see you suffer, girlie. You'll never suffer again. Now then, up with you. There's a burying to be done.
Pastoral scene in England under Charles II. Cutthroat carrying victim through big storm to grave. A few more details. Darkness torn apart by lightning. Silences shattered by thunder. And the earth, a sea of mud. It was perhaps 300 yards to the hillside, and when James Alsop got there, the grave he had dug was gone, washed away. So, what we've got now is the same pastoral scene in reverse. Cutthroat carrying victim through big storm back to scene of crime.
Sure.
Cutthroat in a quandary.
The plan was to bury you neatly, Ursula. Now what?
Proving that things gang after glee.
Yeah. I told everyone you were going for a visit.
The question.
What shall I do with you?
Seeking the answer. The answer? Not quite. This time the answer, change everybody into warm, dry clothes. And having done this, the stroke of genius. Remove the glass from a window frame into the room, hide it, and set up a cry.
Murder! Murder most foul! Help! Thieves have come and made murder! Help! Help!
A thief?
Aye, Constable.
And killed your poor daughter-in-law.
Yesterday a man tried to do it while she walked the meadow.
I've heard.
And now you succeeded. I heard her cry from Ursula. I came quick to her, but only in time to see her attacker flee.
Flee? How?
Through the window, sir.
Which window?
That one.
That one? With no glass in it?
Of course that one.
And you're sure of it?
Aye.
Come here.
Aye.
If the thief and murderer escaped through this window, how did he get through the cobweb which covers the opening?
Sir?
Stretched across the window frame is a cobweb, as you see. From side to side, so. From top to bottom, so.
Sir?
Then how did this thief of yours get through it?
Sir?
You're under arrest, James Alsop,
Arrest?
for the murder of your daughter-in-law. Johnny, the chains.
James Alsop was committed at Colchester jail. His sons William and Christopher were not to be located. Justice was swift and sure. James Alsop was sentenced and led to the gallows. And as he mounted them, a thing happened.
Wait! Wait! In the name of the king! Do not hang that man.
A messenger with good news, especially if your name was James Alsop of Ham in the year 1673, and the hangman had just indicated that you stick your neck in a noose.
New evidence from London.
Thank heaven.
A man who calls himself Topham says he can prove that James Alsop is no murderer. He saw a thief leave the place of murder through the door.
That's the way it was. I forgot.
Bring down the accused from the gibbet.
But our story still has a dolorous end. Mr. Topham from London turned out to be none other than the missing William Alsop, son of James. He could have stayed in London, safe and alive, so he must have loved his father dearly to have taken such a chance. But the only way he changed history was this. Father? Son, William. What happened to Christopher? Well, he had heard what happened to his wife, so asked himself, why return to Ham? He stayed in Yorkshire, where he met the widow Patricia. She was comely, and the next April they were wed. She made puddings and was an uncurious woman. They lived long and happily, and gave to the world 8 Alsops.
In just a moment, Thomas Hyland will tell you about next week's crime classic. The Alsop Family, tonight's crime classic, was adapted from the original court reports and newspaper accounts by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. The music was composed and conducted by Bernard Herrmann, and the program is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. In tonight's story, Ben Wright was heard as James. Thomas Hyland is portrayed on radio by Lou Merrill. Featured in the cast were Herb Butterfield, Ellen Morgan, Betty Harford, Terry Kilburn, Richard Peel, and Raymond Lawrence. Roy Rowan speaking. And here again is Thomas Hyland.
Next week, Rome, Italy, in the year 62. My report to you will concern a young chap who wanted to murder his mom. It's listed in my files as Your Loving Son, Nero. Thank you. Good night. Good evening. This is Crime Classics. I am Thomas Hyland, with another true story of crime. Listen. The sound you hear is that of a swimmer in the Adriatic Sea. Her name is Agrippina, and the stroke she's using, 'tis one of the day. According to research, a kind of combination overhand side and flutter kick. Agrippina is quite good at it, too, she being the mother of the Emperor of Rome, and having the best instructors in all things. For instance, her swimming instructor told her to roll over on her back and float when she got tired, which she just did. And she was tired, all right. She'd been swimming toward shore for the last 2 hours. Not for laurels, not for prizes, but to save her life. It seems her son had tried to drown her by rigging up a boat whose bottom would fall out, and which did when Agrippina was on it. Sonny's name? Nero. So tonight, my report to you about a mother and son in Rome in the 1st century A.D., listed in my files as Your Loving Son, Nero.
Crime Classics, a new series of true crime stories taken from the records and newspapers of every land from every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, and teller of murders. Now once again, Mr. Thomas Hyland.
Rome, in the year 62 A.D. Nero had been on the throne for 8 years and had put on 60 pounds. And no wonder. At 25, he had tasted every sweet from Ethiopia to Britannia and had scouts out for whatever he had missed. I'd better tell you some nice things about Nero before we really get into this. First of all, he had a genuine love for Rome and its people. Oftentimes, Nero would release 1,000 birds of every kind, some with Roman money attached to them. He also threw to the people pork and mutton saddles, as well as tickets for grain and togas, and choice seats to concerts, at which he sang. This was the Nero that history forgot. Now, let's have a look at the Nero who is remembered. Scene, dressing room in the Roman Colosseum. Principals, Nero and Seneca, his mentor.
Hold high the shield for me, Seneca, so that I may look into it.
You look like...
What? Out with it. Out with it, Seneca.
like a beast of the Nubian plains.
Which was my design when I put on this skin of a black leopard.
I meant sleek.
And you meant handsome?
And dangerous.
Do I frighten you?
Yes.
Well, then cower.
Oh, Nero.
Ah!
The Emperor will have great sport today. The crowd will love this novelty.
I am beloved, is that not so?
The poets sing of it. But listen now, great Nero. I have a thing to speak of.
Hand me that broadsword.
Here.
This sword will be my cause in the arena this day.
Beloved Nero.
Seneca?
This thing I have to speak of.
Yes.
They say...
Who?
Those about you of importance. They say you grow overly fond of your mother.
As I am her son, why not?
That she saps you of your wisdom. That she does undue influence upon you.
Agrippina's a loving mother.
Just so. Too much so. Her mother love saps you of your vigor.
What you say is an impiety, Seneca.
Lord Nero, be careful of your sword.
What more of my mother and me?
I repeat only what they say.
Come, Seneca, lift me into the cage.
Yes.
Bend down your back so that I can step on it.
Yes.
Be brave now, Seneca. I am in a cage. What else is at your brain as concerns my mother?
Kill her.
For your sake? Because I love her more than you?
For the sake of Rome.
Which is me.
Of course.
Have the slaves wheel me into the arena, Seneca.
Yes.
What happened when Nero was rolled into the arena in a cage dressed in a black leopard skin is a fine clue as to the lad's personality. Also in the arena and tied securely to stakes were slaves. Then the cage was sprung open, Nero leaped out with his broadsword and performed whatever ritual came to mind. Later, when the sands of the arena were swept clean and in some places resanded, Nero performed again. this time with stringed lyre, in curlets and silken toga.
When Nero sweetly strikes his lyre, Apollo strings his bow, and Nero's song is the tongue of fire, while the goddess moon swings low. Oh, Nero is the prince beloved, and Nero is adored on high.
And so on into the night. He didn't sing well, but he sang loud and long. And he had a special arrangement with the Colosseum guards. Collect the heads of all those who tried to leave while he was singing. It was usually after midnight when Nero finally gave the signal for his audience to go home. Nero was fatigued, and he wanted his mother. History tells us Agrippina had a restorative influence on her son because of the soothing quality of her voice, perhaps of her understanding of the light in her motherly eyes, or just perhaps because of a way she had with rose oil and myrrh.
Mother.
Hush, son. How tired you must be from the day. Let me this soothing of you.
Mother.
Turn your other shoulder to me, son.
So help me Jupiter, Mother, if you don't let me ask you what...
Yes, what is it?
What I did today in the arena with the wearing of the leopard skin. What of it, Mother?
Terrifying.
Huh? What else?
Exciting.
Yeah. And what else?
Papilla sat beside me. She bit the soft of her hand till blood came in such ecstasy.
Oh, Mother, Papilla's always biting the soft of her hand when she sees me.
She's fond of you. Why do you laugh?
Last night, Papilla painted her face in ochre and went to the oracle. She's afraid Acte, the slave girl from Germania, has taken her place in my affection.
Has she?
Acte opened her veins this noon because I demanded it, and Papilla doesn't know it yet. Anoint my hair, Mother. Well, not that much.
Papilla is waiting for you, isn't she?
Oh, of course she is.
What does she say of me?
We hardly talk, Mother. I sing to her, and then we stare at each other. Ah, thank Jupiter for Eros.
But Seneca talks to you, doesn't he?
Hand me that garland, Mother.
Doesn't he?
No, much. Constantly, pratingly, ceaselessly, without end.
Of me?
Much. Constantly, pratingly, ceaselessly, without end.
What does he say?
He wants me to kill you.
I see.
He says you love me too much and have undue influence upon me, therefore you should be dead.
Nero, my son.
Yes, Mother.
Remember that Claudius died suddenly, and for that reason you are emperor. Remember that Claudius died because I wished it. Somehow there was poison, and somehow Claudius died. And remember, too, that rightfully your stepbrother Britannicus should sit on the emperor's throne. And remember...
Jupiter, look at the hourglass. The sand's run out. I'm late. Let me kiss you. Ave Mater. The poppy blossom of slender shaft, of scarlet petal her gaze enthralled. Give thanks to Olympus, give thanks to the gods that Caesar Nero has to her called.
Emperor?
Wait. I lay on the loggia today after the pool, and I gazed up at the heavens, and the thoughts went through me in a rush. Millions of thoughts, and...
Bad boy.
After tonight, there's tomorrow, and the being emperor again, and the whisperings and the intrigues. Oh, Papilla, my head swims in thoughts. My poor head.
Rested upon me. Emperor.
Yes.
Your mother anointed well. Your curlets smell of the dew.
She hates you, Papilla.
I know.
She hates Seneca.
Because he is wise.
Popea.
Does not your garland bind your brow? Here, let me take it off.
Oh. Ah, gentle Popea.
Seneca is wise, Nero.
Do you want my mother dead, too?
Only for your sake.
How?
It is said that Agrippina is anointing her stepson Britannicus lately. And in private calls him Emperor.
All night a Rubicus dwells a witch. Pluto's daughter ill-got is she. Her name is Locusta, 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 horrible witch. From the river of the dead her poisons be.
Oh, sing no more, Nero. I love thee too well, Emperor.
Popea wasn't the only one who bade him lay down his lyre and still his song. A man named Petronius did the same thing. He wrote Nero a note and told the emperor that he was the worst singer of all time. Then Petronius, to save a lot of time all the way around, opened his veins. But Popea, being currently Nero's type of love, she got away with it. Also, in Nero's ear, she went on and on about the new Delphic oracle, who knew the mystery, she said, like no other oracle in Rome or in the provinces. A younger man, she told Nero, one with younger ideas, one who could conjure voices, speak to the gods, and recognize ancestors in various animals, and very good with the advice. So, Nero kissed her for her concern. Retrieved his garland, left her. On the way to the Delphic oracle, he made a decision.
And I'll do it now, as long as I've got my mind made up.
And he made a detour. Stopped in to see Locusta on the Iter Rubicus, then paid a call on his stepbrother, Britannicus.
This vase of wine I bring you, brother, from Gaul it is. For the Rhone flows gently and the grapes grow fat. O great stepbrother, whose love is dear to me and who desires nothing but good for me. For these reasons I give you this wine that you should drink. Drink it. Like that, boy. Throw back your throat and let the coolness of it, the death of it touch you and chill you. Come on! Come on! Britannicus has drunk poison and is dead. He hated life and wanted no more of it.
Then Nero called upon the Delphic oracle. No sooner had the oracle lighted his pot of fire and said the words, than Nero asked the question.
My brother Britannicus is dead. What should be of my mother?
Jupiter and those on Olympus are jealous of you, O Caesar Nero. They would smile more brightly upon you if Agrippina were dead and belonged to them.
Nero went home to the palace, and the oracle went into his back room.
It is done, Seneca, I've told him.
And he will kill his mother?
This I believe.
How shrewd is Popea to have sent him to you?
This I believe.
On the table is 1,000 sesterces oracle.
I will say words for you into the fire, Seneca.
Hail.
Hail.
Nero went to sleep that night with a new mission in life. He was going to kill his mother.
You are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Thomas Hyland. Don't walk a mile, just sit at your radio for hilarious entertainment Monday nights on CBS Radio's Walk a Mile Quiz. Bill Cullen's in charge of the game with a high-paying jackpot in prizes and pleasure. Later tonight, don't miss Walk a Mile. And say, also later this evening on most of these same stations, listen for Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, with Arthur himself back in the saddle again. And now, once again, Thomas Hyland and the second act of Crime Classics, and his report to you on Your Loving Son, Nero.
A word about Rome in the year 62 A.D. Rome was in her glory. Her subject people stretched from Asia Minor to Britain, and they paid their taxes on time. A city of slaves and temples and chariot races and visitors from Greece and freedmen from the provinces and spices and oils and unguents. And here and there on the streets, an old Etruscan. The Colosseum was the center of attraction. Here man fought man, beast fought beast. And on holidays, they switched. Nero was emperor, and you already know how Nero loved to set an example. Agrippina was his mother, and some background on her. Out of a maternal concern for her son, she poisoned a lot of people, most prominent of whom, her third husband, the Emperor Claudius. Pliny the Elder, in his letters, mentions her as the vilest of women, and I just quoted. But Pliny was called in the journals of Tacitus as a sour man, and I just quoted again. Anyhow, her son Nero woke up one morning determined to murder her. So he sent for Locusta of the Iter Rubicus.
Get off the floor, witch, and come close. You brought poisons. Vile stuff. What's this one for?
Nephews.
And this?
Daughters.
And this?
Mothers.
Mothers? Oh, tell me of it.
'Tis powdered stuff of a thing I know, plucked from a swamp I know, when one night the moon of fertility rode. In the 8th month of Octavian, when there was harvest, it kills mothers quickly, instantly.
Without pain. I would not like my mother to suffer.
Like that.
How is it used?
Yes, a drop in a sweet meat, or whatever.
I'll have it. Seneca! Pay her, Seneca. 1,000 sesterces. Seneca, have the wall splashed with sweet-smelling oil to take this reek out. Go. And so, Mother, as a small gift of the day in honor of Persephone, sweetmeats from Thebes. Plump dates rolled in cinnamon, stiffened honey from Alexandria, wild berries from the soft slope of Lebanon drowned in sweet essences.
Which is your favorite, son?
This one.
Put it to my lips.
First.
Yes?
I would kiss you, Mother.
Persephone's day is a favorite of mine. You make it happier.
Bend to me. Now here is your walnut sweet.
It's very good. Excellent. May I have another?
Of course. Here's a choice one. It's bigger.
Ambrosia. The gods should know of it. And may I have some of that? What is it?
Oh, a morsel from the Hebrews. A cluster of almonds chopped with apples and dipped in wine.
Delicious.
Mother.
What?
How do you feel?
Blessed by Jupiter, who's given me such a fond son. Son.
Yes, Mother.
Eat of your gift. Here, I will place a sweetmeat to your lips.
No, stop. Stop it.
Do you ail?
Stop it. Stop it.
You ail. Let me hold you, son. Sweet son. Emperor's son.
I have here a translation from a Latin historian named Suetonius. In essence, here's what the gentleman has to say. Thrice Nero tried to poison his mother with sweetmeats and other devices, but each time, warned of his plan, she suffered herself to swallow antidotes beforehand. Nero then planned another method for his mother's destruction. He tampered with the ceiling of her bedroom, contriving a mechanical device for loosening its panels and dropping them upon her while she slept. But this leaked out through some of those connected with the plot, so that Agrippina was warned and slept elsewhere. Imagine Nero's chagrin and fury and petulance. So his mentor, Seneca, came up with a thought.
Now, the first thing you've got to do is control yourself. Throw that last Grecian urn and get it out of your system. I'm glad you did. It was a hideous bit of pottery anyway. Now the thought. Write your mother a letter.
To say what?
Well, you wrote Petronius a letter telling him it would be best for himself and the state to open his veins, did you not?
Yes.
And he did it. As did Fluvius when you wrote him a letter. And Caspar.
And Marius and his 3 sons and that senator.
Lucius.
Loud from his mouth of taxes and excesses.
And others. Write her.
And you will tell me what to say?
As before, with the others.
Let us do it.
And since, Mother, it appears you are trying to have me slain, for the good of all of us and of the state, I, Nero, Emperor, and faithful...
You're going too fast.
Where are you?
Nero.
Emperor and faithful son, do request your death. This gift I enclose, small knife of gold, for slitting, and sign it your loving son, Nero. Now put your seal to it, and I'll have a slave take it over right away.
The slave has just now brought me your letter, which needs prompt reply. I will not kill myself, Ave.
Mother? Mother? Oh, Mother.
What is it?
Did you enjoy the banquet?
You sang beautifully.
That is not what I mean, Mother.
What then?
No one fell dead at the banquet, Mother. Neither your taster nor mine.
I don't want to think about it.
I know that. That's why I've arranged this voyage for you. And when you return from Thessaly, you will bring back forgiveness in your heart for me.
Son.
Yes.
Do you still want your mother dead?
No.
Swear it.
By the gods of Olympus.
Then my voyage will be joyful.
With a new and fleet ship to take you to golden sands and return refreshed.
I love you well, Nero.
You are my love, Mother. Ave. Ave. Sail home to me soon.
If this tender scene of Aves and loving kindnesses perplexes you, well, it really shouldn't. Nero was still up to no good. In spite of the sumptuous banquet he had arranged for his mother out of the clear blue sky, and in spite of the trip he had arranged for her to golden sands and return by way of a peace offering, Nero still had murder on his mind. This ship he had built for his mother, you know who built it? Anicetus. And who is Anicetus? Any of your better histories on triremes and other Roman naval craft will devote at least a few paragraphs to Anicetus. He was forever trying things against the laws of navigation. For instance, this ship that would take Agrippina to Thessaly, he designed it so its bottom would fall out 5 miles at sea. And did it? Well, let's pick up the ship just before it was 5 miles out on the Adriatic. Quiet ocean, azure skies, as fine a 2 decks of slaves chained to the oars as you'll ever find. And Agrippina having grapes at the captain's table.
You men of the sea, Captain. All my life, the great wonder I've had about them. What's that? Help
Well, everybody drowned except Agrippina. Not that she was the greatest swimmer in the world, as she only knew one stroke, but she had sense enough to roll over on her back and float when she got tired. So she got to shore. She made known who she was, which got her a fresh toga and transportation back to the palace. Nero was waiting for her.
Mother. Mother! Mother! Oh, Mother! Slaves! Strangle her!
And they did, with a silken scarf. It is interesting to note that the word mater in Latin means mother. From mater, we get the word matricide.
In just a moment, Thomas Hyland will tell you about next week's Crime Classics. Your Loving Son, Nero, tonight's Crime Classic, was adapted from the original court reports and newspaper accounts by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. The music was composed and conducted by Bernard Herrmann, and the program is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. Thomas Hyland is portrayed on radio by Lou Merrill. In tonight's story, William Conrad was heard as Nero, and Betty Lou Gerson as Agrippina. Featured in the cast were Sammy Hill, Edgar Barrier, Hy Averback, and Martha Wentworth. And here again is Thomas Hyland.
Next week, Troy, New York, in the year 1845, and my report on the funniest woman in town. She really made the townfolk laugh. It's listed in my file as The Torment of Henrietta Robinson and Why She Killed. Thank you. Good night.